Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Demonstrations over the Trump administration's ICE raids are taking place in downtown Los Angeles and across the country. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Carroll in for Maya Trabulsi. Right now, people are rallying in National City. KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen is live there. And Alex, what can you tell us right now?
Hey, John, I'm right here on Highland between 12th and Plaza. As you can see, there's quite a large contingent of people behind me. They tell me this is an organic rally not hosted by any organization. They say they are here because they want to get their voices heard. Earlier today, LA Mayor Karen Bass called the raids a provocation by the White House and called on Trump to put a stop to them. In a speech last night, Governor Gavin Newsom called the military intervention in LA an assault on democracy.
Newsom says the arrival of National Guard and Marine troops in L.A. was not about quelling protests following ICE raids. Rather, he says it was part of Trump's calculated war against the foundations of American society.
California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next. Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived.
The speech came the same day the governor asked a court to put an emergency stop to the military helping federal immigration agents. A judge has declined that request, but has set a hearing date for Thursday.
What Donald Trump wants most is your fealty, your silence to be complicit in this moment. Do not give in to him.
The Trump administration has been ratcheting up deportations in the past few months, with ICE agents going to churches, schools, and courthouses to arrest immigrants. Outside the federal courthouse in downtown San Diego today, about a dozen protesters were there to denounce such actions. Thomas Witkowski was not part of the protest, but has been coming here with the group Detention Resistance for the past 3 weeks to document the courthouse arrests.
It's been very disheartening to see the dehumanization of these folks who have committed no crimes, pose no threat to the community, and are being punished and detained so that they can meet these arbitrary quotas.
In an interview with KPBS Midday Edition today, Congressman Juan Vargas called Trump's actions scandalous and a huge overstep of his presidential powers.
Instead, he's trying to take the jobs of both being the president, being the Congress, and frankly, trying to be also the judge.
Hey, back out here live, as you can see, that about 100 people are here and more are coming. And these protesters say they are here to stand up for their community and to stand up for democracy. Live in National City, I'm Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
So, Alex, it appears pretty peaceful as far as the demonstration goes. Tell us about the police presence out there. Any hints of violence at all?
No, there is no hint of violence. There is a large police presence. As you can see, there are police that are stopping traffic on Highland because the crowd has gotten so large. There are people walking on the streets right now, as you can see. But they say they are here to keep everyone safe. Back to you.
I'm Ariella Scalise, and as we look ahead, temperatures tonight back down into the lower 60s under a partly cloudy sky. And who's ready for a big weekend warm-up? We'll have a closer look coming up.
After months of discussion, San Diego City Council members approved a revised $6 billion budget last night for the 2026 fiscal year, beginning July 1st. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer says library advocates are looking at the revised budget as a win.
The council voted 7-2 to restore millions of dollars of proposed cuts from Mayor Todd Gloria's May budget. Some of the major issues at stake include the restoration of all funding to parks and recreation centers and Monday hours to 16 of the city's 37 libraries. Sundays will remain closed.
To shutter 37 branches for 2 days in a row would have been really devastating.
The modified budget approval follows dozens of public comments arguing for the restoration of funding for parks and rec centers and libraries. It's a step in the right direction, according to Patrick Stewart. He's CEO of the San Diego Library Foundation.
There is flagship branches in each city council district, and then some additional branches in other parts of the city. It was really important, particularly in under-resourced neighborhoods, that we keep those branches open.
The budget is reliant on new forms of proposed revenue, like charging non-residents to park in Balboa Park and at the San Diego Zoo, and allowing digital advertising and billboards. Independent budget analyst Charles Modica cautioned the council members that their budget has risks.
If we do hit an economic downturn, even if all of these good things, these new revenues come to fruition, we will be faced with the need for immediate cuts.
The mayor's office responded to the council's modified budget in a statement, saying the council added tens of millions of dollars in new spending and changes, many of which raised concerns from both the independent budget analysts and the city attorney's office. And they will closely review the council's amendments to ensure the final budget meets the level of fiscal responsibility this moment demands, especially given the current economic uncertainty and global instability. Regardless of potential changes, Stewart says there needs to be a long-term solution to avoid more budget pitfalls and library closures in coming years.
That's really the goal, is to get through this as quickly as possible and begin getting the rest of the branches open.
Under the city charter, Mayor Todd Gloria has until June 15th to sign the budget into law or exercise his veto authority. The city council has the option to override a veto with 6 votes. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
It's the unofficial start of summer, opening day of the San Diego County Fair. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne shows us around and shares some money-saving tips.
The sounds and smells of the San Diego County Fair are back. Visitors lined up on opening day to enjoy the food, rides, and exhibits the fair has to offer. And this year, visitors could end up leaving the fair with a new friend.
The theme of this year's San Diego County Fair is Summer Spectacular, and I'm here with Jordan with the San Diego Humane Society, who's going to tell us about some of the friends that are up for adoption this year here at the County Fair.
Yes, so we're so excited to be partnering in the feature exhibit to talk all about pets, how we love them, how we care for them, and how we can be the best we can be for them. So we do have some adoptable pets here from San Diego Humane Society. Right now we have some of these adorable kittens, as well as some bonded guinea pig pairs here as well. So we'd love for people to come by and meet them at the County Fair. We're here Wednesdays through Sundays all summer, and people can put an adoption on hold if they're interested in one of our animals, and then they can come adopt them at our campus later on.
This year's theme highlights pets and serves as a reminder of the thousands of animals available for adoption at shelters throughout the county. And to keep the fair as accessible as possible, fair organizers have some money-saving tips.
This year we have $15 value meals. I believe 43 food stands are offering those, so that's entree, side, drink. Great opportunity to, that's like fast food prices, if not better. And then we have a discount promotion on games on Fridays, which is also the day that kids are free. On Fridays, 12 and under, you can bring your kids for free.
Tristan Hallman, a spokesperson for the fair, says the best deals are wristband days and the Fair Tripper. Wristband days are Wednesdays and Thursdays, where visitors pay one price for unlimited rides. The Fair Tripper includes admission into the fair and a round trip on public transportation.
The reason that people come back year after year, it is the rides, it's the food, it's the live music, but it's more than that. It's the feeling of community. And I think that's what really drives people to go to the fair, and that's what we truly offer underneath it all.
The fair is open Wednesday through Sunday and will be running until July 6th. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, we speak with the mayor of Los Angeles as protests against immigration raids spread to more cities. That's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
San Diego is relying on a trash fee to help with its budget woes. In today's Why It Matters segment, Voice of San Diego CEO Scott Lewis recaps the crucial vote on trash and explains what happens next.
It's official. Most single-family homeowners in San Diego will now have to pay the city a fee of up to $43 per month for trash pickup. It's the first time in more than 100 years that the city will charge for that service. It wasn't clear the San Diego City Council would do it. The city wants to put the fee on property tax bills, and to put the fee on property tax bills, the city council needed 6 votes. In April, they had 6 votes, but then one of them, Councilmember Henry Foster, said unless the fee was significantly lower, he would not support it this week. The fee is core to the city's budget passed this week, and without it, they would have had to make up about $80 million, either through more cuts or other ways to bring in money. Before passing the trash fee, the city council listened to hours of public testimony, mostly from people against it. Many seniors and others said they don't make much trash, or they didn't mind paying a fee, but not this one. Councilmember Sean Rivera pointed out that most families in apartments and condos have long had to pay private haulers for trash service, and he made the motion.
I acknowledge that this imposes a cost on households at a time where this city's never been more expensive. That being said, this isn't a new cost. It's a cost that's been borne by people who do not currently receive city-provided waste services.
But then it started to look bad for the fee. Here was Councilmember Raul Campillo. He said nearly 3 years ago, city staff estimated it would be about half what it is now.
I hate to say it, but I think this is a bait and switch, and that's why I'm voting no.
Councilmember Marnie Von Wilpert also said the fee was too high. And then Foster, who had provided the crucial vote to move forward in April, said he could not go along with it either.
It is not because I do not believe the city should not move forward with a trash fee. But I do feel, as I said previously, I have concerns about process.
So at that point, we had 3 votes against it. Councilmember Vivian Moreno had already opposed it in April. If she did again, it would not go forward. There would be no fee. The council would have to find $80 million in additional cuts that they had to already make to balance the budget. Without a word, Moreno voted for the fee. And now it's happening. Her office said that so many people in San Diego already had to pay for trash collection, it was only fair that everyone else did. There were threats of lawsuits at the hearing, and we'll see if anyone actually files one. I'm Scott Lewis for Voice of San Diego, and that's why it matters.
Voice of San Diego is one of our partners for the Public Matters Initiative. You can learn more at kpbs.org/Public Matters.
Look, this isn't just about protests here in Los Angeles. When Donald Trump sought blanket authority to commandeer the National Guard, he made that order apply to every state in this nation. This is about all of us. This is about you. California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next.
You just heard a portion of Governor Newsom's Democracy at a Crossroads speech from last night. He condemned President Trump's deployment of the Marines and National Guard to the streets of Los Angeles this week amid protests over immigration raids. KPBS's Public Matters reporter Amitha Sharma says the decision is likely a pivotal moment in American democracy. She joins me now. So, Amitha, welcome. What is the situation on the streets of downtown LA right now?
Well, John, protests have calmed, but a National Guard commander told the Associated Press this afternoon he expects the situation will escalate. Nearly 400 people have been arrested so far. That figure includes 330 undocumented migrants. The rest were picked up for alleged assault and obstruction, and one person for the attempted murder of a police officer. A curfew instituted last night will continue tonight. The protests started over the weekend after federal immigration agents raided workplaces in the LA area. Governor Newsom says agents in an unmarked van in a Home Depot parking lot Saturday began grabbing people indiscriminately. In response, protesters came out. There was unrest. But Newsom said yesterday law enforcement had the situation under control. Then Saturday evening, President Trump ordered 2,000 National Guard troops to LA without Governor Newsom's consent.
That's when the downward spiral began. He doubled down on his dangerous National Guard deployment by fanning the flames even harder. And the president, he did it on purpose.
Newsom said things were winding down when the president federalized another 2,000 National Guard troops. And Monday, he mobilized 700 Marines to the streets of L.A., again, without the governor's approval. San Diego Democratic Congressman Mike Levin called the move presidential overreach with a goal.
Fear and intimidation. I think it's showing power through the use of our military. We're being shown the use of power as never before in recent American history. Our military, our Marines, our sailors, our soldiers, they don't deserve this kind of garbage. And putting them on the streets of major American cities as political props, which is effectively what is being done, is dangerous and it's wrong.
Levin says key administration officials are dodgy on the legal basis for sending in the Marines. He says the Marines are subject to what is called posse comitatus, meaning they cannot do any civilian law enforcement. Right now, the U.S. Northern Command is saying the Marines will join National Guard troops to protect ICE agents.
I've asked our military leaders, I've asked our liaison at the Navy, I've asked Secretary Hegseth, they all have punted.
But Governor Newsom and California Attorney General Rob Bonta argue both the deployment of the National Guard and Marines are illegal, and they're suing the federal government. They said the military troops create imminent harm to state sovereignty and escalate instead of diffusing civil unrest. They asked a federal judge this week to immediately block Trump's deployment. The judge refused. Former San Diego U.S. Attorney Carol Lamb says while it is relatively unprecedented to bypass a governor and send in the National Guard, consent is not required. She says California's chances in prevailing in its lawsuit are a toss-up. She added President Trump's exaggerated descriptions of the threat posed by the L.A. protests does not help the state's case.
The words that are being used, insurrection, incursion, invasion, are being used to fit within federal statutes that exist. So they're trying to make the case with these sort of conclusory terms.
UC San Diego political scientist Thad Kauser framed the ICE raids, the protests, and Trump's response as part of a long-running feud between the president and California. But Kauser says Trump's statement this week that Governor Newsom should be arrested for the crime of running for office, if carried out, is a slide toward authoritarianism.
Anytime you have a president who has just activated the National Guard above and beyond a governor's wishes, who has called up the Marines to move into a situation with as yet an unspecified mission, and then talks about arresting a governor for nothing more than running for office, that moves us into just a territory that we have not seen.
And John, I don't want to close without mentioning what Congressman Levin told me during my conversation yesterday with him. He firmly believes that the ICE raids in Los Angeles were triggered by Trump aide Stephen Miller's demand that ICE agents detain at least 3,000 undocumented migrants a day. And he says that is a very dangerous situation because once you start instituting quotas, law enforcement will reach further and further, and that is when the real injustices occur.
Thanks so much, Amitha. Appreciate it.
Let's get you started with those weather headlines here as we've been watching quite a temperature roller coaster around, and temperatures continue to be near average as we head through Friday. But looks like we're going to be talking about some building heat with temperatures back above the historical average as we head into Saturday and Sunday. We'll continue to see those coastal low clouds spreading into the inland valleys as we head through the next several days. Tonight in Borrego Springs, we're down to 68, and Mount Laguna stays rather mild, down to 62. Overnight low in San Diego of 61, Chula Vista down to 60, and Oceanside, you'll drop down to 61. It's been dealing with a lot of heat here across parts of the Southwest, including California. We're going to shift to very warm conditions, so may not be the record-breaking heat, but temperatures will still be above the historical average. As we make our way closer to the coast, though, we'll catch a little bit of the cooler impacts from the ocean. San Diego, 69. 71 for Oceanside and Chula Vista at 71. Still into the triple-digit heat for Borrego Springs. 'Tis the season. 107 in Mount Laguna. 75 degrees. Sounds pretty pleasant for anyone who's got some outdoor plans. Should be good to go and staying dry through the day on Friday. You'll notice the thunderstorms stay well to our east there across Colorado and New Mexico. So squeezing out a dry end to the week on Friday. And for a lot of us, we'll continue with our dry season here as we look ahead to the weekend. All the action is going to be across parts of the East Coast, so take that in mind if you're doing any traveling. We'll head into the 5-day forecast for the coast here, where temperatures stay comfortable here through Saturday. Then we'll start to climb up. Sunday, 77, mostly sunny though and nice, and we'll keep temperatures into the mid and upper 70s on Monday. We'll also see a warming trend here. Look at this. Sunday's going to be the hottest day of the next 5 as we make our way further inland here. So building that heat and keeping it around through the day. Monday, mountain, similar story here. Maybe a little bit later for us with the hottest weather on Monday. And we'll peak at 112 on Sunday for the deserts. For KPBS News, I'm Ariella Scalise.
KPBS listeners know the value of radio, not only for news or music, but also for vital information during an emergency. Video journalist Carolyn Corellis takes us to the Pala Reservation and shows us how Pala Res Radio keeps its community informed while keeping culture alive through the airwaves.
Hey, Res Radio brings some songs of the Southwest on 91.3.
No, the radio station started out as a tool.
Yeah, there's a very large line of fire on the other side. The fish we have is about 30 acres. This is called the Henderson Fire.
About 15 years ago, there were some bad fires in North County, and communication around here was terrible. San Diego had its own fires to deal with, so local media completely ignored North County. Pala was evacuated because there were fires on 2 sides of it. Most people stayed out of town for about 4 days, not realizing they could have come back after about 4 hours. The communication was that poor. So when a window opened up for new radio stations, the tribal council decided to apply for one, hoping to avoid things like that in the future. Well, we'd like to reach all the native communities in San Diego County, if we could, and there are 18 tribes in San Diego County, 18 reservations. Being the Pala radio station and, essentially created for the benefit of tribal members, not just emergency communications, but also, it's a great way to spread and preserve their culture.
The next 2 songs were recorded at Pala at the Cooper Coach Center.
We've done a number of interviews with elders, some of whom have already passed now. We're certainly glad we were able to talk to them when we could.
When I was doing my Pala Life Past and Present, I started incorporating some of the language into that. And it just kind of built from there. We started incorporating more language to it. We came up with the idea about doing the time checks in the language. I figured it was a way for people to learn how to learn the numbers because you could hear what we say, look at the clock, and you go, oh, okay, that's what they're saying. We started doing our top of the hour, has Chemashatahan Kupanga, which means we are the people of Kupa, and it says KPRI.
Res Radio 91.3, a service of Kupa Pala Res Indians. KPRI Pala.
Every once in a while you hear something, Nisnumatula Pala'au, which means it's 5 o'clock in Pala. We do that several times an hour. And even if you don't know the language, after a while, you start to associate, okay, well, I know it's this time, and now suddenly you're learning numbers in the native language.
We are preserving our culture. We're also sharing our culture. I got a call one time from a lady in our community. She wonders why we don't play more bird songs, local music, like Native American music.
Well, bird songs are a type of native music particular to the Southwest. If you go to the Midwest, upper Midwest areas like that, you're going to hear drumming, powwow. Powwows, while they happen here, they're not quite so much a Southern California thing. Bird songs are, and they tell stories. So what you hear very often isn't published music, but it's things that either groups have provided us with or we recorded.
Well, I learned more about bird songs than I never thought I didn't even know I didn't know.
You know, kind of the spice that tells you you're listening to Res Radio. We're here for an emergency. It may only be 0.1% of the time, but when you need it, you need it. And that's where cell phones fall down. I mean, no matter how good broadband gets, when it hits the fan, everybody's going to be on there and the bandwidth is gone and you can't get through. You've got a radio and you've got a way to get emergency information and not worry about whether you're fighting with 10,000 other cell phone users.
When I came to the radio station, I was thinking of it just as a radio station. After I started working here and with John's prompting, we made it more ours. A lot of beautiful things are done here. I believe we made it like a great piece of art, at least as far as our community is concerned.
You're listening to Songs of the Southwest on Res Radio 91.3.
Nice. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you so much for joining us here on KPBS Television. I'm John Carroll. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.